Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Now, before you get too comfortable, I want to let y'all know that if I seem a little frazzled, if I seem like I'm in a rush, if I seem like I'm in a hurry, it's because I am. As you are watching this, and for that matter the next few uploads on the Metal Meltdown, I will be in the process of moving from this lonely little basement apartment that I call my home into, well, ultimately another lonely basement apartment, but a bigger one, a nicer one. It has like a modern kitchen and a washer and dryer and heated bathroom floors. It's fucking nice. Come to think of it, those parts don't really matter. Not sure why I'm telling you that. The point I'm actually trying to get across is I'm doing adult shit, and as such, I don't have time to do Metal Meltdown shit, but I still want to do Metal Meltdown shit, so every video is likely going to be shorter for the time being, or at least I'm going to try and make it shorter. I don't know. I've already put a lot of time into explaining this, so we'll see. We'll see how this goal of mine actually pans out. The bottom line is be patient and be understanding. That's all. Yeah, I probably could have just said that to begin with. Whatever. Let's talk about this new album from Soen. Imperial is the fifth studio album from this Swedish progressive metal crew, Soen, which in the past has been described as a 50-50 mix of Opeth and Tool. Personally, I would argue it's closer to a 75-25 mix, but I suppose that's not really important. What might be important to note, at least in regards to that Opeth connection, is that this is in fact the brainchild of former Opeth drummer Martin Lopez, who performed on a majority of their early 2000s work, including the iconic Blackwater Park, then leaving the band following Ghost Reveries and forming Soen in 2010, alongside singer Joel Elikoff and original bassist Steve DeGorgio. Now, since then, Steve has unfortunately left the band, but Joel and Martin remain, and over the course of the last decade, they have been putting out some incredibly well-executed and produced prog metal. Not always the most original, mind you. In fact, I feel pretty comfortable at this point calling them Diet Opeth or Opeth Light, but damn good nonetheless. And let's all be totally honest with ourselves here. If you're gonna copy anyone, it may as well be Opeth. It may as fucking well be fucking Opeth. Imperial is definitely a more mature, refined, and even poignant record in comparison to previous Soen records, but it is ultimately business as usual for the band. Opening track Lumerian gets the album started on a very immediate yet eloquent kind of note with some incredibly intense and technical groove-laden riffs, almost sounding like Lamb of God but with a much more prog metal flourish, and a very theatrical and genuinely Buden chorus that has a little bit of a folky flourish to it as well. Its message of hope and resilience will come, but we must first exercise patience is kind of interesting too. Intentionally or not, it does seem to tap into the general mood of 2021, as we quite literally await the moment when things are semi-normal enough that we can have a semi-normal life again. Writing here in the chorus, I believe in a year we could be something more, but every trace of who we are is gone. Still, I hope we could be the ones. Expanding on these very timely themes and words and subjects is the track Antagonist, which really does put the progressive in progressive metal, if you catch my drift. Hands down one of the most provocative cuts that Soen has ever put out. It is a blatant call to arms, a blatant protest anthem of sorts, laden with crippling grooves, fantastic vocals, and some really searing and intelligent lyrics. Writing here, fire up your guns to honor the ones who walk on the edge of the light to follow their cause. Fire up your guns, defying the kings, for the word that they preach is the wound that is making us bleed. Definitely a lot more sophisticated and tempered than your average anti-establishment anthem, to say the fucking least. I mean, this is a far cry from the days of fuck the police and killing in the name of. But extremely effective nonetheless. I'd go as far as to say that this is probably one of the best songs Soen have ever put out, and at the very least, possibly my favorite song on the album. A lot of other really good tracks on this record too. Take, for instance, the incredibly catchy, smooth, and elegant track Deceiver, or the oddly triumphant, lush, evocative, and melodramatic closing number Fortune. The production value of the record is pretty fucking impressive as well. There are a lot of string instruments, a lot of keyboards, a lot of guitars, a lot of vocal harmonies and weird vocal textures and sonic patterns, but it's all balanced very well. Everything is given an equal amount of time in the spotlight. Everything is crisp and clear and transparent. Nothing is buried in the mix. I do personally wish the guitar tone was a little bit heavier, particularly in more riff-heavy songs like the aforementioned Lumerian, as well as a track like Dissident. But hey, it's by no means a major concern. I would say the bigger issue for Soen at this point is how long can they keep this going? How long can they continue to be Diet Opeth or Opeth Light? Don't get me wrong, I like these guys, but we're nearly 10 years and 5 albums into the career of a band that hasn't made a lot of significant improvements, and as far as I can tell, are doubling down on the Opeth comparisons. I can't help but be concerned that they might find themselves falling into some kind of creative rut, and as such, their albums will lose impact and substance and meaning with time as they become prog metal's answer to a band like Accept or Overkill or Venom. Personally, I'll give this thing a 3.5 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this record. It is extremely well produced and executed in nearly every way, but I will recommend to Soen in the future, you gotta begin spicing things up a little bit. You gotta begin expanding on some of the more provocative flavors that are clearly present in your sound, but you just haven't fully developed yet. For the meantime, I'm sure the prog rock and metal nerds will get a kick out of this thing, particularly those who jerk off to the mere concept of Opeth, to the mere mention of Opeth. I know for a fact there are a couple of y'all already amongst my subscribers that would absolutely die on the sword for Opeth if given the chance, and I'm certain y'all will love this thing. In many ways, this is the band's strongest record yet. I just hope that they are inspired by the successes of this record to expand in the future, to make their next album not just their best album, but also their most original and unique album yet. But again, for the time being, I had fun, so fuck it. 3.5 out of 5, a pretty good record. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.